I am Abby Wahlstrom. I'm in my 15th year here at St. Mary's. As I was saying, I used to live in Wake Forest and was commuting every day, and then that was 2 hours in the car. And so anyway, so we eventually moved to campus. So this summer will be 10 years that I've lived on campus. So my husband also is here. He works here in the facilities department. And then this year, my 9th grader is here. So I have a daughter myself. And then I have a son as well. So it's funny because when I was listening to the girls on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I sit downstairs at the desk where boarders can leave when they leave campus. And there was another student talking to my daughter, and she was like, so like, where do you guys live in the summer? And it's like, no, we live here. Like, this is where we live year round. This is it. So I know for our day students, they come and go, right? But we are here, and we love it. We have a whole bunch of, big sisters, and the girls, we have a big dog, and sometimes girls miss their little brothers, and sometimes they miss their dogs, and like we have a bunch of everything here, so it's good and gives that, family feel to the girls. I have been in res life and student life during my whole time here, so please, I like that this is a small group, and really, stop me whenever. I want this to be a casual conversation because, different questions will come up at different times, so please don't hesitate to ask any questions. And I, will give you an overview of what residential life is here, and then if you guys have more questions, don't hesitate. Okay, so just so I can kind of get a gauge of where everybody is, can y'all tell me if any of y'all went to boarding school, or is this the first time, that your family's looking into this? Just so I kind of know what, different perspectives we have.
Did not go to boarding school, and yes, it is first time working in boarding school.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
an experience. Yeah.
Great.
Same, yeah. I went here for college, but
Okay.
didn't come for high school, so it's kind of like a new thing for my daughter.
Okay, great. But you are familiar with St. Mary's,
I'm
obviously.
familiar.
Okay, great.
Same. Yeah. Didn't go to boarding school and looking into it for our daughter.
Okay,
So,
got it.
Kind of like a hybrid. I did summer school at NC State,
Okay.
one of the high school summers, so kind of know, but yes.
Yeah.
But the first experience for my daughter.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So this is sort of kind of all operating from the same place. Okay, so the biggest thing that I always want to tell parents and that our goal is here is that our girls are known and that they feel safe, right? And safety can take on a lot of different meanings, right? Like your physical safety, in that we have 24-hour security. We have all of our security guards have been in either security for a long time or the majority of them were in the military. So these are well trained. They get to know our girls, and our girls will call them to say there's a strange person on campus. A lot of people see St. Mary's and think it's like just a public park or whatever, right? When they just first see it. So our girls are very good about saying I don't know who this person is. Give them a call. They're here to help our girls. If somebody hurts their leg or whatever, and we'll golf cart into class. So they're great. As well as psychological safety, right? So our girls want to know that they have a place here, right? And that different people know them. So from when the girls sign in to breakfast in the morning to when our boarders are tucked in at night, there are like 18 different touch points through the day that they'll have with an adult. So, which is helpful because your student may completely connect with her advisor, and sometimes they may, do better with the dorm faculty, right? So there's lots of different adults who are looking over them and different backgrounds and stuff that can be with the girls. These are our 3 dorms that we have on campus. Our campus is 23 acres, and these 3 dorms are all located. Smedes is above us, so there's 2 top floors that have mostly seniors and then some of our juniors. Our 9th grade dorm is it's just 9th graders in that dorm. Would all your girls be 9th graders? Yes? Okay. And then the big dorm across the quad is where our 10th and 11th graders live. So in each of the dorms our prefects are the leaders that live with the girls on campus. So similar to an RA in college. They are, a lot of times our girls are going to feel more comfortable going to talk to a peer, right? Somebody who's just a couple years older than them. It's helpful in, when they're studying. It's helpful when they are having a roommate issue, homesick, whatever. So that's usually their first kind of person that they will reach out to. There's also, in each of the different dorms, there's campus apartments. So we have 35 families that live on campus here, and those are all people who work full-time at St. Mary's. So they know their girls, know the girls through classrooms or administration or, different roles on campus. With both Phoenix for our 9th graders and Crookshank for our 10th and 11th, those are 2 rooms that share a bathroom. So that's where our girls immediately learn, how to like share and clean the bathrooms and who's taking a shower when and all that kind of stuff. And then Sneed's above us those are community bathrooms. So that's also different in that they have to know, like, you have to put a robe on if you're gonna walk across the hallway, right? Or, bring your stuff with you. So a little bit different, but at the same time, they're all, teaching our girls how to live in community. And I always tell the girls, because if we do have roommate, things that come up, 9 times out of 10, everybody's gonna have a roommate for the rest of their lives, right? Whether it's a spouse, a roommate, a parent, whatever. So it is important to learn, and it's really easy how our girls are these days in this generation to just, like they break up through text, they do whatever through text, and so having those face-to-face communications is hard, but so necessary, to build those tools to then be able to tell their boss they're having a tough time or whatever, so those can all translate. Is there any question about these, about the dorms? Okay, so what does a typical schedule look like for our boarders? And this is just for boarders. So, and I don't have obviously their class schedule will be separate, right? But this is just so you kind of see the touch points and what their day looks like. So everybody, we eat all 3 meals in the dining hall, of course, and the girls can kind of come and go. It's great to see this is from 7 to 8:30, but the reality is, I don't know how y'all's girls are, but most of them are we're rolling out of bed 10 minutes before they have to sign in, right? That's the reality. And some of them get in there really early and study and meet with friends and all that kind of stuff, so it just kind of depends on the child. So they sign in at breakfast, and then they'll go on to their first class, which starts at 8:30 here, except Wednesdays it starts at 9. And then if any of your girls take medicines, those are all held in our health center. So if they have, any of their prescription medications are all in the health center, so they go through, and we have 2 full-time nurses that live here that dispense the meds. Then, of course, their school day begins, and they'll have 2 classes before lunch, and then there's a community time, which is when the girls will be with their advisories, there's about 6 to 8 students in each advisory, and then you'll have an adult in there, somebody who works at St. Mary's, of course. And then everybody has lunch. So the times those were broken down because we have A, B days. So that's why there's different times for different lunches. Then of course there's another lunchtime pass to get any meds, they need at lunch. And then they have the 2 other classes in the afternoon, their third and fourth periods. And then about town permissions. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, our girls are allowed to leave campus. And they all go through, our 9th graders can only leave on Tuesdays, and then 10th through 12th can leave Tuesdays and Thursdays. So they'll go downstairs where there's an adult, and they'll sign out. And, because of where we're located, it's great because the girls can easily just sign out, grab a friend and go get a milkshake down the street. Or they may have to go to, Cameron Village and get school supplies or whatever. So, and how they get to those places is all up to how y'all feel comfortable. So during all the paperwork and all that kind of stuff, you'll fill out a form that says, do you feel comfortable with her walking with a buddy? And we always have them go with a buddy. And, can they walk to Cameron Village? Or not. We also have Uber permissions, if you're comfortable with that. And then as well as they get older, they can have permissions to, ride with any St. Mary's student. Can they drive St. Mary's students? Our juniors and seniors can bring cars as boarders. And, it just gives them a chance to get off campus, go for a walk, do what they need to do. And again, we always use the buddy system. And then they have to be back, especially if they're walking, they have to be back before it gets dark anyway. So, dinner, everybody has dinner together from 6 to 7, and that's in the dining hall as well. Not currently are we allowed to do this because of COVID, of course, but before COVID and hopefully sometime soon, we have what we call community nights. So those are Wednesday nights, and for example, myself and my family will sit with 4 boarders. So it gives them another touch point, and like like you have your family dinners and have conversations with the girls and get to know them. And so everybody will have their own supper club that they're in, and then it also is a different way for the girls to get to meet girls that are not necessarily in their own dorms. They're all different grades from different places. That night is when we also would have whether there's like dorm bonding or a dorm meeting because the laundry room's out of control or whatever. And then again, there's another med pass there. Quiet hours begin, and then at study hall is from 8 to 9:30, and that's for all dorms, like all across campus. So during this time period is when all the girls are, like our 9th graders, we keep them all on dorm as they're starting to learn like study routines and all that kind of stuff. So they'll all either be, most of them have, all of our 9th grade rooms have, there's desks, well, all of our rooms have this, there's desks, and then you bring a chair, and then there are beds. But most of them are sitting, at the beginning we have them all like sitting at their desks as they start to learn, how to study everything. And it's quiet, it's very quiet. Everybody, they turn on their phones, and then they just have to, they're doing their work. And some of them, yes, it may take them longer than that hour and a half at night to study, right? They may have to work on something in the afternoon, they may do some after that study hall. And then after study hall at 9:30, you hear all these little footsteps pointing at their phones. And during that time is when a lot of times they'll call home, take a shower, and then they have to turn their phones back in at 10:15. The 9th graders turn their phones back in for overnight. It just helps them to get some sleep and get off their phones. And during that time too, so like during study hall, there's an adult that's an on-campus adult that's monitoring study hall. So making sure with the prefects that, the girls are studying like they're supposed to be doing. Our 9th and 10th graders put on their whiteboards that are on their doors, like what they're working on. It helps them to stay focused and helps them to, us to check in and make sure they're doing what they should be doing. And then afterwards, they'll just, again, that's downtime, and then there's a certain on-dorm time that they have to be back on dorm in case they, went outside to meet a friend or something. And then there's a time that they have to do lights out, that they're done for the night. And they, it's funny, like there's lots of times that the girls will be asleep, at 10:45 when they do lights out in the 9th grade dorm, like they'll be asleep, right? They're tired. The other thing too that I didn't mention is that during this ATP time also is the same timing as when your child may do sports or dance, or the other program is called Triangle Fitness. So this may be yoga or swimming, or there's different tracks that they can do if they're not like a natural athlete or they're not on a team sport. So for our 9th graders, they do something every season. There's 3 sports seasons, so they're required to do all 3 seasons, something in the afternoon. Our 9th and 10th graders, and then our juniors and seniors have to do 2 of 3 seasons. Yes, ma'am.
And so the about town permission is Tuesdays only, you said?
Mm-hmm.
But they have the option to do something else, like a yoga or something, on those Tuesdays?
Yes, so sometimes if they, like, for example, there's, for Triangle Fitness, there's a 3:45 to 4:45, and then a 4:45 to 5:45 time.
Okay.
So let's say you don't have yoga till 4:45, you may come and, go for a walk or, get a milkshake or something until you have to be back for Triangle Fitness.
Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes, if you have a 4 o'clock game and the team's leaving early, like, you won't get ATPs that Tuesday. You know what I mean? Because you have to go where you have to go. But it also, so sometimes our girls may, if they don't have, let's say, yoga till 4:45, they may use that time in the afternoon, because immediately after school, there's a tutorial period where they can go see their teachers. So some of them, there are girls in the library, both day and boarding students, until 9:30 at night when study hall ends. But it's a nice time for, the day students stay, they can collaborate. There's a lot of group projects and stuff. So the library, and as our 9th graders, like in the next coming weeks, they'll get privileges to go to the library. And that's helpful for them because, like, we were talking about how sometimes girls are in here studying, and our older girls, and we all have different learning styles, right? So sometimes they're super efficient in the library. Sometimes there's way too many people to get distracted in the library for a certain student, and they're better off in their room, right? So we do like to give them choices for what's best for them. So then, once they, after study hall, then they have lights out. And this is all when they have like back on dorm time, they check in, and then lights out time, that's all with the adults, making sure, we're laying eyes on the girls. And then it's quiet, everybody goes to sleep. Does anybody have any questions about the daytime schedule? And note too that, there's plenty of girls who were not used to waking up on their own when they got here. We definitely still wake girls up in the morning. And, they'll learn that like alarm clocks do exist because they all listen to their phones, right? Which sometimes can be the devil because sometimes they set it for 9 p.m. and not 9 a.m. or, whatever. So, we're checking to make sure their classes do. For the weekends, it's a more, like every morning through the school week, there's a hot breakfast, right? And on the weekends, the girls can make waffles, it's more continental. They'll get their med pass at the health center. And then starting at 10 o'clock through whatever their curfew is on Saturdays and Sundays, they would go out through the ATP desk. So Friday afternoons, they can do that once classes are over on Friday afternoons through curfew, which for our 9th graders, it's 10:30 start curfew, and then it goes up by half hours. Lost my train of thought. And then, okay, so they can sign out, and they, again, anytime they're gonna leave campus, they're gonna come to that ATP desk and sign out with an adult. So when we have the conversations, just like I'm assuming you guys have at your house, like where are you going, how you getting there, who you driving with. And again, at the very beginning, when, nobody knows each other, we may be calling parents every single time to say, are you okay with her riding with, Mr. Smith? And so they may be walking, they may be going in cars with people. And that again is up to y'all's level of what you feel comfortable doing. And then on Saturday afternoons, we also do this 4 to 6 check-in. So that's kind of like our girls who maybe woke up Saturday morning at, 2 o'clock and, Netflix the afternoon. And so we want to make sure that, everybody's a little bit up and going on the weekends. And also, if they were to leave at 10 o'clock that morning, kind of like, you don't want your child to just be gone till 10 and then you don't see her again till super late, right? So it's just kind of like a check-in that we have with girls. Also on the weekends is St. Mary's puts together activities. So that could be local activities. Some of the stuff takes place on campus. Some of it, we drive somewhere in our big vans or buses, and could be in the area. And so those are different activities that the girls will sign up for. Our student res life coordinators that send out activities every week. So they'll know, what's going on, and then they can sign up. The girls can sign up for those. On Sundays, we ask that everybody's back at 5:45. Just so we have like dinner as a community together, and then we do Vespers on Sunday night, which is like a shortened chapel service. A lot of times, maybe members of our vestry have run it, or sometimes the chaplain does it, but it kind of brings us back together, kind of sets the tone for the weekend, for the week ahead, I'm sorry. And so we have, on Sunday nights, the girls have low lights as opposed to study hall, because sometimes on Sunday nights, they may have been gone all weekend, right? So they just need that time to unpack their rooms. Sunday nights is when they have room inspections, just making sure they're keeping their rooms cleaned. And then they either can use that time to study, or if they just kind of need to settle back into their rooms. Any questions about the weekends?
So, I'm just curious about like the Vespers. So do they have like, I remember back in the day, they had like a Wednesday service.
Chapel service?
And then like a Sunday one, and you could go to either one or whatever. Do they still have a required time?
Yes, so we go every Tuesday and Friday as a school. So the girls, right now we're doing it virtually, but we normally do that everybody, like, you will sit in a pew, like, as an advisor, and then you sit with your advisory. Yeah. So, and Sunday night is just kind of a smaller service for boarders. Okay, so I know that a lot of times we think about, like sometimes we have very extroverted kids, sometimes there's very introverted kids, and how do we stay connected, right? And I'm sure, that's a big concern, especially after COVID, so many kids being at home, stuck behind virtual. So just some different activities that we do for y'all to know. And, it's so funny when you talk to the girls and ask about like what your favorite things are, and everything, or if you say to the girls, like, what do you guys want to do, for this, that, and the other social, it's always food, right? So that's all it takes is cupcakes or cookies, and they come. So different things about staying connected is that there's different, kind of like I mentioned how, they would first reach out to their prefects, then there's the adults on dorm, is with the, like who they're with, who they like to be with. After study hall, for example, is a very organic time where the girls are just kind of hanging out. They're done studying for the night sometimes, or, they had a big test that day, so it's just kind of like their release from the day. And I think that's a really good time for the girls to either talk to adults, talk to their friends, and just kind of, debrief, like how all of us have to do. So that time after study hall can be like a really silly time, a really like nice time. It's neat to watch our, like seniors right now as they're going through, everybody's getting college decisions back, right? So it's a real bonding time. So we have dorm breakfast, which is an event that we have in December where the girls all do like a Secret Santa sock exchange, and then we have each of the different dorms eat together with their prefects and with the dorm faculty. New boarder recognition we do in like mid to late September, and it just introduces all of our new boarders, whether they're 9th through 12th graders, to the community so that we get to know them better. And then the same at the end of the year, or at the end of their time at St. Mary's, the senior boarders get recognized by the faculty, and that's just a special ceremony that we have in the residential program at them. Our boarding prefects are great for our girls, just in that they are, again, kind of that first touch point, and they're really good about, because they've all been in the girls' shoes, right? So it's very helpful, whether it's a studying help for them, or if it's, question about how they were able to overcome homesickness or something like that. Heart maps is something that our counselors did in our art studio, so it was our counselors and our art teachers, and they did individually with our girls. The knitting club, oddly enough, there was a couple years ago, one of our nurses knits, and there was this like huge phenomenon, like every Friday night these girls would get together and knit and watch Harry Potter, or whatever they were watching. Movie nights, obviously, all it takes is, snacks and a movie sometime, right? To just kind of veg out and enjoy one another. Dorm families. So each of the prefects, as well as the different dorm faculty, make up dorm families. And this is created all from the same people that would be in the same dorm, but just kind of gives them a different group of girls to get to know, whether it's, because they could be like from different floors, so it's not normally the kids that are like immediately around them. Just making sure that, like you can say, we have like 130 to 150 boarders at a time. Sounds big, but at the end of the day, that's not really that many people, right? So we want to make sure that our girls get to know each other. Community dinners, we talked about that with Wednesday nights that we hope to get back to soon. Sometimes, again, like all it takes is a snack, late night snack, and the girls come out and get to, socialize and have fellowship together. Sometimes with the dorm competitions, that may be, like we may make up that each group has to do a cheer, or like manhunt or something like that. The girls just, and it's a good release for like physical energy. So, a lot of these things are just times that we can, some of them are intentional, some of them are very, they're all intentional, but I meant some of them are very, planned very far ahead, and some of them it just may be like, this is what the dorm needs right now, right? Especially like in February, when sometimes it can be, gray outside. We just want to, make sure that the girls have each other, are staying connected, and that we're reading, what they need. And then this is just some of the examples. This, of course, is right across this hall is the large parlor, so that's the movie night. This was every December. This is for the Christmas picture. Do it. Pancakes and pajamas. And then this was a dorm competition, of course. That was pancakes, and those are our community dinners back in Back pre-COVID. That's it. What kind of questions do you guys have?
So this might be a weird one.
Yeah! No such
You
thing.
know, in, I guess, a traditional high school, you would have a driver's ed program. I know the kids can't have a car on campus till they're later, but do they have a chance to take a driver's ed course when they're here?
Yes, they do. That's a great question. So, Jordan Driving School works in all the different schools. So we take it, like, our girls take it through Brock.
Okay.
So right now, it's currently virtual anyway. So, and I think it's like, during the school year, maybe it's like 2 weeks for like 3 hours a day or something like that. And then, of course, they would do the behind the wheel time, just like everybody else. Yeah, so that's definitely an option. Yes?
Just thinking about ninth graders and maturity level, are there, if we choose to not have them go off campus in the beginning,
Yeah.
are there a group of girls that would be, I'm thinking about my daughter, like I would want her to ease into that, gradually.
Yes.
Would she be the only one behind, or are there girls that just don't go off campus?
That's a great question. Are there girls, like, I have not had too many parents say, like, no, nobody can go anywhere.
Okay.
But have there been some? Yes. And, I think it's depending on where you come from, what your, what your family rules are and stuff, like, that's not insane to ask, you know what I mean? And thinking, because it is a big deal, right? I mean, it may just look like a quick run to charter, but at the end of the day, like, you're on the city streets, right?
Right.
So I think before they go anywhere, we talk to them about that kind of stuff, safety, and making sure the prefects will walk with them to Cameron Village, because, you think you're cool, you're leaving campus, and I mean, I don't know how familiar you guys are with this neighborhood, but like, it's confusing, right? So we get through it and we walk through it every single day, but, we want to make sure they know where they're going.
Okay, so the prefects do go with them at certain times.
At the first time, yes.
Okay.
They have them. And that's just it, is that I think it's, there's gonna be, because there are so many like Raleigh boarders, there's gonna be girls that feel very comfortable going ahead and walking, and then there's others that I think are definitely gonna hang back and probably will just do an ATP on the weekend, I mean, like, because of afternoon activities now, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's not that many girls leaving campus. And if so, it's like the seniors that don't have a sport, or obviously last week was huge because we had winter formal this past weekend, so, we all had to get our nails done and stuff, so, between the tailors and the nail places, but, there are definitely not girls going every single time, every single weekend. Yeah, everybody kind of has to, you come up with your own plan, right? And that's okay. And that's just, like, that's what's great, is that I think there will be, and they'll find them, and like, we can help, maneuver what looks like for different groups, right? I mean, there's gonna be just like in any high school, there's the girls that like have to be doing something at all times, right? And then there's just I'm just gonna sit in my bed and watch Netflix all day group. So, and then, like, some of them are super creative. We have this group that every couple of weeks, they are like, it's so funny because, we don't have a uniform here. So it's like, they're pretty casual, right, to say the least. And so on the weekends, all of a sudden, there's like this group that's like head to toe, like makeup and all dressed up in like funky clothes and stuff. And they will just go and do like photo shoots around, around campus and stuff. So it's, it's a whole mixture of people coming and going. Yeah.
How far do they get to leave the school rooms? How far can they go? Is it boundaries?
They cannot leave Wake County. So, and most of them, like, I mean, your walkers are gonna go no farther than Cameron Village. And really the only reason they're leaving Wake County is because we have so many that like may go to the Carolina game. That's if somebody's leaving Wake County, that's where they're going, to be quite honest. But they can go to, a lot of times, I mean, the farthest I feel like they really go is, they go maybe like to the different malls, a lot of them go to North Hills. So they're not going super far. And then again, like, I don't know where you guys live, but sometimes they may just go home for the day, right? Whether that means, I mean, some of y'all are real nice and will, do their laundry. They can do that here, guys. Do not make them bring it home. Right?
She'll be there on campus laundry girl. She's there.
That's awesome.
That's a good question. Could you explain like where are the laundry facilities?
Absolutely.
Like,
So the
laundry cars
dorms are
or-
in, no, there's no charge for the washing machines or the dryers, and they're in each of the different dorms.
Okay.
So there's like days that they can do their laundry depending on, what floor they live on. And it's, you go into some rooms and there's a really big pile in there, right? And so, then there's some that like on Friday afternoons, they're leaving campus and it's like, are you really taking all those clothes home to your poor parents? So, but they're pretty good and they learn, after you do that first, bushel of, pink laundry that used to be white, like you learn pretty quickly. But again, there's prefects, there's adults that are happy to help because a lot of them haven't done laundry before, right? And some of them have been doing it for a long time, so. But yeah, it's pretty easy it's all in their own dorm, so. Yeah. What else?
This is kind of a random one, but, I'm Episcopalian,
Uh-huh.
and in ninth grade is when they go through confirmation
Confirmation,
classes, but if they're here, I'm assuming, do they have a class here they can do, or do they go to their, I wouldn't think she could come every Sunday home to do that, but.
Right, so, it can work different ways. This year, they normally do a confirmation class here every other year. So, like, they're doing one right now.
Okay.
But they also, we have had girls, both Episcopal and Catholic, that have gone through the program at their home churches. Now, the thing is, like on Sundays, for example, they leave basically from 10 to 5:45 is when their ATP window is. But at the same time, like, we're kind of at the mercy, like if your church starts at 9 a.m., sometimes you may come pick them up early, and that's fine. But sometimes, yes, especially the tricky thing with, I guess I say like local churches, is that so many events happen on Sunday and Wednesday nights, which are our community nights. So that makes it really tricky. Like we have a couple, like winter break and different breaks and stuff that sometimes they'll go back to their, youth groups and stuff too. But if we don't want them to miss every single week. But if there's sometimes, some of them are in like leadership groups and that kind of thing. So, and I know it's hard because there's these things they're involved in that are close, right here, but it's also, we want you to be like connected here too, so that's something that like, I think each family kind of has to figure out. Yeah. Because it's hard, and then, the parents call and they say, oh, well, so-and-so's not connecting, when meanwhile this kid's like leaving every single weekend to do all these things, so it's hard, and I'm not saying these things are bad at all, but it makes it hard to connect here if they're gone all the time, right?
Absolutely, and wanting to be grounded here.
Yeah, exactly. And to have their own support networks here, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and for them to learn how to reach out and all that kind of stuff, so.
How does the border schedule mesh with the day students? When do the day students come in?
Great question. So, many times there will be day students at breakfast. I think sometimes whether it's because the parents, that's what time it's convenient to drop them off on the way to work, or the students come here like intentionally because that's when they're going to catch up with their friends to study before the math test or whatever. But definitely everybody like starts together at 8:30, and everybody's here through the day. And then after school, like do a majority of the day students leave right after school? Sure, but at the same time, there's a bunch of them that are here that still have to do sports and dance and all that kind of stuff too, theater. So I would say the day students are normally going to leave after their afternoon obligation, but then there's like a group that's here every single night through study hall. So, there's
They don't have to be off.
they do not have to be off. No. And so, like there's a lot of, not right now, day students can't stay on dorm right now, but, whether it's because parents are going out of town or they just want to stay with a friend. Pre-COVID, every weekend, like there's day students staying on campus and there's boarders going to day student houses. So there's a good mix. Yeah. Yeah, and it's helpful, especially because of like group projects or stuff like that, and they can, be here together and work on. So. Anything else?
In the cafeteria, lots of food options?
Good question.
Different types?
Yes,
each day?
absolutely.
How does that work?
So there's always a sandwich bar out. There's like a middle bar, which could be anything from an ice cream station to like
Pasta bar.
pasta bar.
I love the pasta bar. It's very good.
And then there's always a salad bar, and then there's inside, there's a hot bar. So there's always gonna be, like a vegetarian option, multiple, right? Some vegetarian options, I'm gluten and dairy free, I eat there. Hello,
Hi, how's it going?
good.
I don't mean to interrupt, but welcome. Mention there.
So there's lots of different choices. And some of them, I mean, it's interesting, right? At first, we do have to, with some students, that are just, we'll go and there's a panini press, so they're always making quesadillas, right? And you kind of like start, I think, like you're away from home, like this is what you want to eat. And, some of them need help, like, okay, this is how we explore the dining hall, right? And it's funny, like on the flip side, my own kids, like during the summers when the dining hall's closed, I'm like, hey, this is what we're having for dinner. And they're like, that's the only choice? And it's like, whoa, this is the dining hall, we're gonna have 6 choices. So, it is easy to always, like grab a salad or whatever. So yeah, there's lots of choices. Yeah, that's a great question.
Are they allowed to have like snacks in their room or?
Absolutely.
They are.
Yes, yeah, and they all have, for the most part, they'll have a refrigerator in their room. I mean, they can bring a refrigerator. And, there are girls who have tons of snacks, and some people are just totally,
Do the dorm floors have like kitchenettes? Like a microwave or a hot plate?
There's a microwave in each dorm, and there is a fridge.
Okay.
Yeah, because not like, we don't want any of those things in the robes, toasters or any of those things in the robes. For obvious reasons. Yeah.
I know, I'm the only one without a question.
It's okay.
The only question that's kind of looming, my daughter's an understudy at a quilting shop. She's learning like quilting and sewing, and she's been doing it forever. So I would wonder if, she works 1 day a week now,
Okay.
but if, Saturday, this is, boarding would be a lot. And I'm just wondering if she would go to work on Saturday or if she needs to kind of stay on campus, and mentally it would seem like a lot for her to continue.
Yeah.
I don't know if she would want to work on all day Saturday and be an understudy and still keep up here.
Right. And that's like a question that I can't answer for you.
Yeah.
I think that,
How many of your students work? I guess that's a question.
yeah, that's a good question. And, I don't have an answer. I'd say, with our board, we have lots of babysitters. And some of them that do report to a certain place on the weekends, whether it's, I know somebody works at Chick-fil-A, there's different places. So, and I think a lot of times, like, it is during the ATP hours, and I think it's like how well is, now the person I'm thinking of specifically is a senior, so she like has everything laid out, right?
Yeah.
So that looks a lot different when you're a 9th grader and learning how to do time management,
Yeah.
right? So depending on how, and she may be awesome. I'm sure she's awesome. I don't know if time management's awesome, but, so sometimes on Saturdays, for example, there's not, unless we have, like a dance, for example, their Saturdays are normally up to them to
Right.
kind of create, right? Unless, because most of the events that we're gonna have on Saturday are probably gonna be at night. There could be, some one-offs, of course, but would time allow it? Yes. It's just gonna be a matter of, then would she be good, Saturday, get
Right.
homework done, or is that gonna take away?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one of those parental decisions, I think that she would probably want to top off or cap her class, whatever she's learned over the summer. Because I think it would be a lot during the school year.
Yeah,
For her.
yeah,
That's my only question.
yeah. It's hard, and sometimes, they have to try things and then realize this isn't gonna work,
She's done a lot.
Can they bring bicycles? Yeah.
Yeah, and it was fun. They're so funny because they were talking about yesterday how there was a scooter. What are they called? Like they're not Lime anymore, but whatever. The scooters around town. guess there's one on campus yesterday, it was like the big talk, but, I mean, we've had girls who have ridden, not the motorized ones, but scooters like around campus, because you would think, so our classroom building is like in that corner, and then our science building is over there, which, I mean, it's not that far, but sometimes they act like it's like Virginia, so, they're like, we had to have a scooter because it's so far, but they have 10 minutes of passing time, like, they get it. They're fine, they're all, they get to where they need to be.
I know one popular question, I don't know if y'all heard this before, just maybe talk about the roommate process, like how, you know, how we match girls to be roommates, kind of what that looks like. That's sometimes
That's a good question.
That's a great one.
Okay, so through the enrollment process, there will be lots of paperwork, right? And one of them will be the roommate matching. So, and I please encourage that the girls fill it out, because sometimes parents fill it out, and I think they put like, their child's really neat, and the kid gets here, and you're like, whoa, something happened. I need to know honesty. But, so, like, about their living habits, about their working habits, about their study habits. And so that we can kind of understand, because, you know, there's kids that are like, I have to have it completely silent, and there's kids that love their voice, noise machines. So, just the more information we have, the easier it is to match them up, right? And so members of the residential life team works with the admission team, who, you know, gets to know you guys the best. And then, like their freshman year, obviously, everybody is, or for a new student, everybody's put with, you know, another new student, right? And then at the end of the year, they have the choice of, do I want to stay with my current roommate? Do I want to pick, you know, A, B, or C? Do I want to be put with a new student? You know, everybody is put with a roommate. I think, you know, we've had years that everybody except like one pair went on to be roommates the next year, and then there's some times that they are like, okay, we're good friends, but we're not living together again, right? So, you know, we match everybody up, and then those are sent out like about 2 weeks before we get back to school, so in August. And then once they get to school, because, you know, a lot of them is the first time we're living with somebody else, right? Some of them have shared rooms with siblings, some of them have done camp, some of them haven't done any of it. And so they, you know, of course you're nervous and it's hard and that kind of thing. And then some of them, you know, like we like to say that the girls think it's camp when they get here, right? And they're so excited and it's like fun and games and everybody gets to know each other. And then like 3 weeks in, we have tests, you know, you all have tests at camp. So, and about that time is when we also have each of our girls, like if y'all were roommates, you guys would fill out a questionnaire, kind of like, you know, just like how are the different things going in the room and are there things that are really hard, that kind of thing. And so you guys would fill this out independently, and then an adult would mediate a conversation of, you know, just kind of talking through everything. Because sometimes we may have a hunch that there's something going on that they didn't put in there. Just little things, like so many times it's just simply a communication thing, right? Because how you can yell at your brother, right? But like we don't encourage that here. So, you know, just having those conversations with them, which is hard, right? It's hard for a lot of us at any age to confront people, but it's important for them to have those conversations. So helping them, and sometimes it's a really easy fix, like you just need to do the eye mask, and then, you know, you can keep that nightlight on, or, you know, so we'll walk them through that process. And, you know, a lot of times when there are roommate issues, again, it's literally a communication thing. Is, have you told her that you feel this way? And they're like, no. Well, she doesn't know. She doesn't know that you don't like this, right? So through, you know, all the adults on campus, through our counselors, you know, we can help them walk through these steps.
Do they have roommates all 4 years, or are the seniors usually singles, or?
They'll have roommates all 4 years, yeah. Yes,
I have another one.
they do. Yeah.
To throw out there. A lot of parents sometimes want to know, like, okay, if my daughter wakes up in the middle of the night sick, like, what does that process look like? I know that's something that sometimes is interesting to hear what happens on dorm if your student wakes up with a stomach bug or getting, you know, so sometimes that's
Right.
nice to
Right.
hear.
And what
just
we worry
to-
about is parents.
Yeah, yeah.
So there are, again, there's always going to be, like, from the afternoon through the next morning, there's dorm phones, right? So there's a Smedes phone, a Crookshank phone, a Phoenix phone. So an adult is holding those phones all night. So if you know, if Susie doesn't feel good, she wakes up in the middle of the night, then a lot of times, I think their natural instinct is going to be to call y'all, right? And meanwhile, you're like, well, I don't have to, I mean, like, you're, you know. So, then they can, that adult, if this is a crisis and we need to get a nurse involved, we can do that. Or there are like, over-the-counter meds that we keep in the dorms that the adults have, that are, locked up and the adults have access to. So if it's just like an Advil in the middle of the night, we can do that. Or, if there's a hospital visit, then we can do that too. So, but know that, and at the same time, like I know I had a child this past week who was up in the middle of the night, and the mom's like, what was she supposed to have done? And so you just call the dorm phones. And I think, when you're sick, you're not thinking straight, right? So know that you can always call the dorm phones. And especially too, in that same vein, like sometimes during study hall, the girls turn their phones in, right? And there may be something that happened at home, and y'all are trying to get a hold of your kid, and you're like, she's not answering, but she literally doesn't have her phone. So, but again, there's always an adult that can get to the kids. So, yeah, that's a good question.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, I've been in a boarding life seminar.
I'm a rookie boarding parent.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why I was like, I can keep them coming. I got some on the back end.
Some
Yeah.
parents have lots of
Yeah.
questions.
Well, no, and you don't know until you know. So that's
Right.
that's why I have a couple questions in my back pocket,
Yeah.
just because you don't know what you don't like. Y'all haven't experienced it before. Y'all coming into this brand new, so you're like, what do until it happens? Then you're like, oh yeah, that's I'd like to know more. So that's why.
Now, are y'all's girls like, whose idea is this? Like, are they on the boarding train or y'all?
My daughter is on the boarding train.
Yeah.
She's driving that train.
Okay.
But she's one of six. I have 6 children.
Okay.
She's the middle. She's the oldest girl. I have 3 boys, then I have 3 girls. She's the oldest of the girls. So it's almost like, oh, get me out of here, Lord. So she's kind of independent in that way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you just don't really, you don't know what to expect because.
Yeah.
But it'd be good for her because we are just in Wood Forest
Uh-huh.
and we're not like in New Zealand and she's
Right.
close.
Yeah.
But she needs to experience, being away from the brood. It's
Right.
a lot of people in our house.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So, and that's funny when we have kids that have, that do have 6 brothers and sisters, they're like, oh my God, that doesn't faze me, so it's like, you're just used to having a bunch of kids around, and it's helpful, and those are sometimes our little mama heads, not saying that she has
is.
to. See?
I think that's gonna be the biggest part of her adjustment being here, is that she's the mother hen at home, like, oh my God, Jada, okay. But here, it's just her, she has to focus on just
Yes,
her.
which is nice.
I think it's great, but I think that's gonna be her biggest challenge.
Uh-huh.
And it's good for her at this point in her life, I believe. So she's on the boarding train, but we'll see.
Yeah. That's funny.
How did it, so for girls who do a sport, or like my daughter does ballet, but she does it 5 to 6 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and she's excited about the ballet program here.
Okay.
How does that work? Like she usually does performances, not during COVID so much, but
Sure.
she like Nutcracker and stuff like that,
Mhm.
which I can see how that would work on weekends, but trying to figure out how that would work during the day with the schedule.
Sure. So the reality is, like, the schedule and the structure is needed because that's how we can keep control, right? And keep, like, on top of everybody. However, are there one-offs? Absolutely. Like, we had, I think there's 4 or 5 St. Mary's girls that did the Christmas Carol this past year. So, that's, when you start, I don't know, November, whatever, like, it was like every night. So as long as, we just keep in communication and they know this is the schedule. There's a program or a program that we use that's, like, the girls have a QR code, they put in a code into their phone. And then I have like this QR code scanner, and then that's when they go off campus. So like, we know at all times when girls are here. Yeah, and so I think, there's times when they're supposed to leave campus, and then if there's like outside sports and stuff, then we have to, we just take those into consideration. Yeah, so, and I think too, like, we have campus weekends, which is like 1 weekend a month that we want all the girls here, for example, it's normally like run the dances or something like that. And so I think, and again, when you have like the outside club sports and dances and stuff like that, your family wedding like may happen to fall on that weekend. Like, I promise I'll let them know, and it's just, we just have to know those dates, and you'll know them, so that's fine. Now, is this, The tricky thing here is what we don't do is we don't provide transportation to all this stuff, so
Yeah.
that's the trickiest thing.
Well, it sounds like with your ballet program, like that may fulfill some of like her normal class
Yeah.
stuff, which I think she was reading somewhere like ballet counts as a gym or something, and I don't know if that's the case, but I know she would love something like that, but.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and some of our ballet classes, some of them are in the afternoon, and some of them are within the school day, so
Okay.
that would be a, specific competition with the dance program, but yeah. Yes.
Not specifically boarding, but do you know if the transportation from Cary is still available if we did not do boarding?
Correct. I think this year, I know this year there's only one shuttle, and I can't remember where it goes. I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to misspeak. So, the need was not there to have more than one shuttle, and I can't remember if it was the, because we've had like a North Raleigh, a Cary, and like a Chapel Hill shuttle, and I don't remember which one is running right now. So, it depends on the needs that we have that year. Yeah. That's a good question. Yes. Anybody else? I think she's going to get the lunches.
Do you actually, like if it snows, do you actually have snow days on campus, or do they go to class at?
We do, and you know what's so funny is that we, like, I'm trying to think when this started, I don't know, let's say like 8 years, like before virtual learning was a thing, we used to do virtual learning, we'd have snow days. And, but this year it's been like, I'm trying to think, last Friday we had like a decent snow, maybe 2 Fridays ago. And we had like a legit, just like regular snow day. Just regular snow day. So, the girls were outside building snowmen and.
How do they, does the prefects know or the dorm families know? And that's not like, just turns down, or
For what?
how do they know? They wake up and there's no class that day.
Oh, got it. They will, we send a text and an email that let them know, like, because normally, the night before, because like the dining hall services are gonna look different, if it's ice, we normally will have the meals delivered to the dorms, right? If it's snow, it's totally safe for them to move about the campus, then we just like basically daily they'll get kind of like a schedule. And like they had like a knockout tournament in the gym, different stuff, different snack breaks and stuff during the day, so we'll communicate that out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's tricky because, I think they always have their phones, right? And they may not necessarily check email, but there's enough. Just saying, I don't know if this has ever happened to you. But there's enough, adults, and there's communication happening.